อ Welcome, guys. It's Saturday, and it's time for Throwing Some Jade. I think that's what we're going to call this. Throwing Some Jade. What do you think, Jade?
I'm still trying to wake up.
We're kind of kicking around the idea of doing a show today, and she says, last night, it was like, what, midnight? You're going, we should do a show tomorrow.
Midnight for you.
Midnight for me, 9 p.m. So she was complaining. Here I am up till like 1, 2 in the morning working on graphics and things, and then up this morning. And she's complaining she had to get up at 8:30. Come on.
Yeah. You know what? Because it's like 7 o'clock over here, and then where you live, it's like the upside down already. And I'm like, bruh, the time difference is too steep.
Do you guys hear that? I hear it. It's the smallest fiddle in the world playing. I'm so sorry that you had to wait. The show didn't even start right on. People were leaving. People were coming and going. Is this show even live?
Hey, you know what? I'm sorry I want to come on here looking as fabulous in pajamas as possible and smelling clean. Okay.
But nobody can smell you from there.
They can though. You guys can smell me. It's a scent. It's not even a smell. It's a scent. Hey, thank you. Thank you, 19K Fox.
On your feet, Marine, he's telling you. Oh boy.
Pull
that up.
Yeah. Did you know that 19K Fox was in the military? He was in the Army.
I kind of picked that up, honestly, by the way he carries himself. He carries himself really confident.
I did too. Yeah. I didn't know for sure, though, until last night. And I was like, okay, it totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. But yeah, so apparently he was a sergeant. He got out as a sergeant.
Wow. Well, 19K Fox, thank you for your service, as well as Jade. We appreciate your service, even though you were a drill sergeant and you made people's lives miserable. But
drill instructor, Steven.
Whatever, same difference.
You know what? P subs is gonna pay later.
Oh boy. So there's been a lot of talk in the community here. There's a lot of people making speculative announcements and saying things that really nobody has the answers for at this point. But we have come to some educated understandings, right? That we're going to get to, and we're going to talk about that in the arcade and gaming world. But we want this to be a fun chat. We want to have fun with you guys. We want you guys to give us comments. Like it, love it, or hate it. That's fine. Throw it out there. Any hate, just direct it toward Jade. I'm not too good with hate, so just throw the shade at Jade. So I like that. We need to coin that. Shade at Jade. We can do that.
That's right. I'm good at it. I'm good at absorbing it. What I do basically is I take it, I absorb it, and then I turn it into a Kamehameha or Shin Hadouken and just like fire it back in your face.
So how has it been with the new Shinku Hadouken cabinet that you just got? You got rid of your big blue for this.
No.
Oh, you didn't. You modded it. Well, you got rid of it. You modded it.
Yes, I got rid of one, and then I modded the other.
You modded the other one. So technically you got rid of it, but you wanted this version of it. How's it been treating you? Because you said there was a delay in the other version.
Yeah, I'm honestly okay. And let me preface this by saying that John D has been extremely helpful to me, like all the way through like the process of any of the issues that I've ever had with my Arcade 1-Up cabs since I've met him.
And I feel a butt coming on though.
With the Shinku, there's no exception. I mean, he was very, very helpful in trying to get it fixed, troubleshoot it, and do whatever he could to solve the problem. And in a way, it was kind of solved. So for me, my experience with the Shinku is that aesthetically, I think it's a really cool, unique looking cab. I thought the controls were an improvement, but I'm not happy with the software. that's the basic bottom line for me is I'm not very happy with the software. And no, I'm not a tournament player or anything like that, but I wasn't happy with the online experience either.
Hmm.
And
It seems to be a
I
growing
mean,
trend as of late, right?
yeah, and I personally, the combination of like visual glitches and the questionable online playability on there are the two things that I struggle with. Therefore, I am actually going to return my Shinku cab um, and just call it a day.
No, no, you're not doing that. You're not.
Yeah,
You're not. You're not getting rid of your old. You're not getting rid of your precious.
precious. No, I am. I am. But, and to answer your question, Rex, you can pull that up, Stephen. To answer your question, anytime that I've dealt with Arcade One Up's customer service, they've always been very helpful to me, except for when I owned Gen 1s, it was like their customer service didn't exist. But after that, like Gen 3 and beyond, they started to get better and better.
Can
So
can
I
I can
think
I
that
preface this too though that John really didn't know who you were when you first started asking. You were reaching out. You saw his name floating around in the community. Am I safe in saying that? I mean, I could
yeah,
understand like guys that have been in the industry for a while.
right.
His comment being toward that. Again, I'm just trying to be neutral with this. It wasn't because you were some big elaborate YouTuber, right?
Right. I mean, I think the first time I talked to him was right before I had started on Game Time. So, yes, customer service. And so, but he works, in case you guys don't know this, he actually works hand in hand, even though he is licensing, he works hand in hand with their customer service and research department when it comes to their development and stuff like that. So, he takes a special interest, I think, in the Capcom games as well. But regardless, my point is that even though he was very helpful and he has continued to be like nice and helpful to me, um, it's just the cabinet itself just isn't. It's just like I know I'm turned off by it. Like I just don't want to deal with it anymore. And so, you know, I know that people are going to say, like, well, maybe you just, suck at playing online. And sure, that's fine. I do suck at playing online. But regardless, my experience playing online
Mm-hmm.
is not fluent. And like, if you think about the Big Blue update that they had from, what's the, who was it, Mystery Encoder that made that latency update for
Yes.
it?
Yes.
And so I wonder, like, okay, if people have that update on their Big Blue and they're playing online versus people who are on Shinku or Yoga Flame, how does that affect their experience? Like, are they having a better experience on Big Blue online play now, and that's screwing with the people who are on Shinku and Yoga because they still have input lag?
Yeah.
But regardless, it's dumb. It's annoying to me, and so that's why I want to return it. And the graphical glitches to me are really annoying. Like, I mean, I could show you guys side by side videos of the original Legacy cab running the same game as the Shinku and the Big Blue, and you can see, like, you can look right at it and see that there is a visual difference, and there are glitches happening on the Shinku and Big Blue that are not happening on the Legacy cab
Can
tracks.
I be completely transparent here? Owning the Big Blue cabinet because of all the different versions of Street Fighter and some of the other ones. Um, I have yet to play it online. I have no interest in playing any of these games online. So for me, I don't really care. It could be tanked, it could be good, but again, I'm not buying it for the sole purpose of that. Like I know you are, and some of these other folks are buying it. So it really doesn't affect me. Like I could not connect it and couldn't care less. Um, but again, I'm going into the purchase with that mindset. you guys have heard me say it numerous times. Like, I really don't care about. I don't even play my act games against people online. I think I did it with Glenn one time, just so we could say we tried it, right? Um, the only games I play online are console based, like Fortnite or Call of Duty or something like that. I have no interest in doing that. Maybe I'm the anomaly, right?
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, like, for me, anyways, online play was never like a deal breaker. It's just, I thought it would be fun to kind of get, to be able, since there's kind of a community for online play here in the Arcade One Up
Oh, sure.
family. I thought it would be a fun option to have, even if I do suck. Um, but it's not just the online play for me. It's the overall. It's like the little issues that the cab itself has and the imperfections. It's the little things, and part of it is the fact that we're paying, you know, $500-600 for these, and then we've got these issues, and it's like their priority, they say, is to fix like input lags or input drops, and that is what their priority is over, you know, any graphical issues. And I'm like, that's understandable because you want people to be able to play the game. But how are we this far along, you know,
Yeah.
to where we're having these kind of combined issues that are like very apparent, and other people are experiencing these issues too. And I know that Rexer said that earlier,
Yep.
but I know that because I've had people reply to my videos
Hmm.
saying that they've had issues.
Well,
So
let me throw this out there, and community, you guys remember back when we did the other show, Glenn, myself, and Doug, we got the NBA Jam cabinets that were out there. Keo Dyken, he probably remembers. Rexer, you probably remember. And we were supposed to get them early. I'm just going to throw it out there because one of our concerns with that cabinet was their first online attempt, and we were telling them, they're like, yeah, we're going to sponsor your show, blah blah blah. We're going to send you these cabinets. We want you guys to test them way before the consumers get them. We don't want a disaster. And they drug their feet. We didn't get them till a month after all the community got them, and we started playing it, and we were like, there is massive delays. And guys like Keo Dyke and some of these other guys were actually filming it. Jade, there was different points of the game that every person was on playing online, and they tried to throw it that it was people's internet connection, and these guys are like, dude, we have fast internet connections. Like, you can't say that. So Code Mystics went to work and they fixed it. Apparently, I don't know. I haven't really dove in since then. Like I said, I don't do online. But this has been something I think that's plagued Arcade One Up since their first iteration of any online gameplay. This isn't something new with just their fighting games, and now it's branching off into something else. This has been going on for years.
yeah, and I mean, it's something that I've been talking about um, with my Big Blue. I think pretty much since like I started my channel. And this is why I really think that they need to rework their game and go with a straight up a universal UI and a universal online platform, and they can't have separate developers for all these games, and they're developing these different kind of unstable online platforms. They need to take the best one that they have right now, and they need to develop it into something that can be used across all their platforms. And literally, you can go into any Arcade One Up and look at like their online lobbies, and your specific lobby will be highlighted for you, but you'll be able to see all the other online lobbies because it's all one big,
Yeah.
world basically. I
There's
think
there's a comment here I think we should address. Paul Burns and Barris, sorry. He says in the chat room, he goes, "Why are you guys all complaining about this? They're just toys." And at the end of the day, we don't lose any sleep over this. But as analysts, we're trying to dive into this because I think other folks have said it here in the chat room. These aren't cheap toys. I mean, if Xbox or PlayStation had problems or Switch, we'd be all over it, just like anybody else. So they are toys. They're entertainment, right? So, I mean,
Right.
am I right, Jade? I mean, these are just, you're spending this amount of money. You expect basic functions that are being advertised to work out of the box.
Right. And I agree that I don't know. I'm torn in that area because if you're a consumer and you're planning on getting a package deal with something, like you should be getting
Yes.
what you think you're getting, like not something that is playable but doesn't work quite as it should because it's just so negligible that it doesn't matter, air quotes. Um, so I think that is kind of part of the issue for me personally. I'm not really like trying to complain about it. I think it's important to like talk about and discuss these kind of things. And um, you know, I think there was a couple videos that came out yesterday that had a very good, like fair, non-biased point of view on some of the issues, that are coming through with these newer gen cabs.
Mm-hmm.
And, so that, I mean, which will probably bring us into the whole thing that we would like to talk about, which is, how the hardware, correlates with the software and some of the issues that it's our understanding that Arcade One Up is experiencing with trying to get the online working on some of these newer cabs, specific to the more high
Yeah.
demand games, graphically demanding
And
games.
and I see in the chat room here, like, Paul says, everyone should subscribe to all these YouTubers, love them or hate them, they're all entertaining. We try to be entertaining, we try to have fun, but I also see it tearing the community apart because you have certain people that really love these machines, you got certain people that really hate these machines, and then you've got people that are kind of riding the fence right in the middle and just trying to be as non-biased as they possibly can to try to get through the weeds, to try to get solid information to deliver to you guys. And you should never, ever, ever take one person's opinion on something. And you should always try, just like a doctor, right? You're not going to go to one doctor and he tells you you have terminal cancer, and you're just going to be like, okay, well, I got terminal cancer. You're going to go and get a second opinion, a third opinion. I think that's just judgment. I think that's wise judgment. Finding out, like, hey, Jade, I asked you when I got the Tron cabinet because I seen people online saying that they broke the stick. And I'm like, is this something I should really be concerned about? And you're like, well, if you're really horsing it, you probably could break it. But I mean, if you're playing it, you know, normal, you should be okay. And the potential's there that I am going to replace it with one of Glenn's. But the point is, I was asking around, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah.
We got a super chat here from Console Fanboy. He says they've come pretty far since 2018. I agree. So many improvements, lit marquees, better speakers, and more unique cab designs, live features. They're just getting started. People forget, and let me see. People forget they're a brand new company. Yeah,
Well,
the only caveat, right, is that they are not a startup.
yeah, but I mean, and he's right in that sense too, because when they first came out, it was like Lincoln Logs versus Legos.
Yeah.
And so they've vastly improved, and then so I agree with what he is saying, but it doesn't excuse
No.
the blunder of advertising a specific type of gameplay and not having it work to the degree that I mean that it should be for everybody, not just a couple people or here and there. And then Kev Brett says it doesn't matter if you care about online. OneUp is advertising it as a feature, and that's where the problem comes in.
100%. I'm not
So,
disagreeing. Let me preface this. I am not disagreeing with that. Jade wants online. A lot of you guys went online. I personally could care less. This is not a deal breaker for me.
right. And honestly, it's not a total deal breaker for me either, because it's like with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I've been telling everybody, I'm buying this cab sheerly for the collector's aspect of it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I love Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Um, and I would love to be able to play it online, but it also comes with all the other Versus games that you will be able to play online, and that is going to work with arcade one up lobbies. So, I mean, for me, it's totally a collector's thing.
Yep.
Like, it's not really something that I, quote unquote, need, or it's going to be the only way to play it. So,
Yeah.
I think that the online aspect of it is very dependent. But if you're playing the game offline, bleh, 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 if you're playing the game offline even, and it's not playing correctly, then there's a problem.
That's right.
And that's where my experience with Shinku and Big Blue comes in. When the volume notch is popping up on the screen randomly, or when you're getting like a glitch where the whole screen, like the graphics almost displaced off the screen, even for a split second. I don't care if the game is playable. That's not supposed to happen, you know? So it's things like that for me. So I could argue that online isn't a deal breaker just due to the
Right.
fact that I never played games online in the arcade. So
And honestly, I don't play. Kevgrat brought up about iircade. I'm sure they have issues with that. I don't play that online. I know the big deal for a while that these guys were playing. Um, I forget the name of the game, but it's kind of like Bomberman, or they,
I think one of the important issues that kind of gets blown over from the consumer standpoint is like everybody wants to point out what's wrong
Yes, right.
with Arcade One Up or what's wrong with iArcade, but then nobody is really offering, and this is not nobody. It's just that not everybody offers solutions. There are some
Hmm.
people that are just like, well, this is what's wrong with it. It's garbage. And then there are some people that are like, well, this is what's wrong with it, but it doesn't really bother me. And I think that it would be healthier if the overall mindset of people was, this is what's wrong with it. What can we do to fix it? And if you look at historically how Arcade One Up has been, they have been taking cues from the community. I mean, I'd like to see somebody tell me that they absolutely have not taken any cues from the community, because we've
Hmm.
gotten coin doors, we've
Hmm.
gotten better joysticks, we've gotten better marquees, we've gotten better screens, even though they're the same size, we've gotten better screens. Um, so we've gotten better designs. We've there's a lot of little cues that they have taken from the community. Do they still have a ways to go? Yes. But I think that people need to be more focused on solving the problem or offering like some sort of solution, because us just sitting here
And
bitching
complaining.
about it constantly
Yeah.
is doing nothing unless you're offering solutions or discussing solutions, because then if they're not taking cues from those type of solutions that people in the community who know what they're talking about are offering, then we can say like, well, we've been talking about this and they're not fixing it.
So console fanboy, he's like, oh, well, I disagree. They are a startup company, Steven. He says, he goes on to say they started with 10 to 15 people. But you forget, though, the company is not a startup. Tastemakers has been around a long time. Now, if you want to talk about the brand Arcade One Up, it's been around, since 2018. I had one of the original cabs, the Rampage. I still have it. I got it. In fact, we were one of the first shows to ever discuss this. And Scott used to come on, John D, and then there was a bunch of other shows that started coming up. Ralph and them decided to do a non-Arcade One Up show, but they were technically an Arcade One Up show. I don't know how that worked out, but anyways, I would agree with you. The brand is a startup, but Tastemakers has been around for a while, and Jay, they've had their toes dipped, if you will, into the arcade space. I mean, you have to, but I think cost plays into the role here, and you can't put everything out at once because you don't know what people are going to pay for, right? In the beginning, there's still people that are griping like, hey, the $300 price point was where it was at. I don't want a riser. I don't care about a riser. I'll build my own. Um, I don't know. I think that they had to feel the water a little bit before doing the marquees to see how many people actually really wanted that.
I mean, it's probably a possibility, but well, and Kev Gret, he says the Blitz marquee looks a little rough.
I would agree with that, though. That's a very
I
accurate
know
statement.
that's been a complaint, but the nice thing about it, and this does not excuse that it looks a little rough, but the nice thing about these newer style of marquees is that you can get an easy replacement for it. It's not expensive. You just slide a replacement in there,
Right,
you know.
but
And I think that most people don't like the Blitz marquee anyways because it just says Blitz on it instead of, like, I mean, you guys remember how the original Blitz marquees looked. So I know a lot of people have actually talked about just replacing them off the get-go anyways. But like, it is weird because I got the Shinku. I mean, on the Shinku marquee, that marquee actually looks really good. So I'm like, how do you even screw that up?
But you're going to have these people, which I agree. You're buying this cabinet not to replace parts. I know everybody in this chat room, the community
Right.
that don't watch the show but they watch other shows, they're all going to say the same thing. I upgrade the sticks. You do it even before you turn the machine on. That's a must. That's a day one for you. And some of these other guys in here. The consumer's going to go, well, if it looks like trash, I don't know anything. I don't know where to go to get a marquee. Am I really going to do that? Like, I want this to work out of the box. And I think we get so jaded, no pun intended, that we are so engulfed in this community that we forget the consumer that's opening this package is going to look at the side art of Blitz and go, dang, that's blurry. That's a really bad Photoshop job. Or the marquee looks like trash. And that's their first impression because maybe they're not buying arcades like I am to build a mini arcade here in your house. They're buying this for a sports rec room, and they have NBA Jam and they have NFL Blitz, and they're going, this is my view of the company.
Right. And Raya, if you could bring up her comment. This is actually a really good comment. So Raya says, oh, I'm losing it. She says, startup or not, they're demanding a higher buy into their ecosystem than Nintendo's, Sony's, Microsoft, etc. The shortcomings of the company shouldn't be the responsibility of the consumer to fix. And I think that is a very valid point because, we pay $500 for an Xbox Series X and out of the box we just plug it in and it works exactly how we expect it to. Now, the software on there is shway shway, but for the most part, if you're getting like a big title, and let's not bring up Cyberpunk, but if you're getting a big title release, like Horizon, and
or Breath of the Wild,
like Breath of the Wild,
yeah,
and stuff like that, those games come out of the box. It's just like when we were kids and you used to get a game, on cartridge. You got the game and it worked. There wasn't issues with it. I mean, yes, we can all say like there were certain games that had little bugs here and there, but we used to think bugs were cool.
Yeah.
There's this funny truth to that we used to think these bugs are cool. But I do agree that they really need to work and they really need to be at the point where you're getting something out of the box that you don't have to screw with.
Right.
Like that's the point that we're at. Like, I don't want to keep having to, make modifications to fix these small things. And I think, like I said, with the Shinku, they're very close. The thing that really tipped it for me and ruined it was the online play and the software.
But there's even certain mods, like I did the one on the Terminator 2 I had. It didn't cost anything except drilling a hole. 19K Fox did the same mod first because I went looking for it and he had the mod and I'm like, right. Oh, I modified his mod.
I did that too, yeah.
Yeah, because it's just simple. Like they could have done that. But here's a comment that I want to bring up. And Console Fanboy, I love you to death, man. But he says no one looks at the artwork. He goes to look at them up close with a magnifying glass. Let me ask you guys something because I've heard that statement throughout the community and I've bit my tongue. You go out and you buy a brand new, shiny 2023 vehicle. I don't care what vehicle it is. You're buying it brand new off the lot. You go up and you examine it, and it's got a rock dent chip in the paint. And the dealer and the sales guy go to you, hey, you know what? If you stand back, you're not going to see that dent. Nobody's going to see it as you're driving down the road. but you paid for a brand new vehicle, $35,000 starting, you're going to make them fix that. Even if it's the size of a toothpick, you're going to make them fix it. Am I right?
Well, here's the thing, too, Zohar, is you're saying this, but you're also the one who every day is screaming about MK4 and having your baby diaper, crapping in your baby diaper, and having your tantrums when you don't get the exact responses that you want from John D or whoever, and admittedly will get super mad about it. So, I mean, it's funny for you to be saying that when you're out here trying to get your MK4 cab. I mean, do you even like MK4? Like, do you actually even like it? The point is, like, people want it a certain way, and when they pay for it and have it in their hands, they want it to be done right. So I mean, it's kind of funny and ironic that you would say
Well,
that,
a-
Zohar.
and Rexer, he said in the chat here, let me pull up his comment. He said, nobody looks at the artwork. Let me grab this here. He said, nobody looks at the artwork when it's at games in iircade, and then they say how important the artwork is on the one-ups. Ha, ha, ha. If you recall when the version 1.1 of at games came out, this is an at games sponsored show, Legend Center. P-Dubs and I did. P-Dubs brought out, he was so excited. He's like, look, we can get Bubble Bobble on the side of these cabinets. We can get, I forget what other one, Tetris maybe. And they use stupid push pins, Jade, to put these on. Plastic push pins that I think
Well,
there's
here's
5
the
at the
thing.
top. And
It's a multi-cab.
but
It's a
still, I
freaking
was like,
multi-cab.
this is trash. I said that. I'm like, who is buying these? They don't even stick on. It's so you can remove the artwork, Jade. So if you decide you don't want Bubble Bobble anymore, or if your kid brushes up against the side of your cabinet, or you have it too close to another cabinet and shred it off, you can buy another $100 graphic to put on the side and use push pins to put it on. I called that out. I said it. I said on an Act Game show, and I'm like, this is trash. You got to call it the way you see it. And honestly, iircade, I even have the base model with the iircade, the default graphics. I don't think there's anything wrong with. I thought the adhesive staying on it. I thought it was very crisp, really clean. Um, there's some cabinets from Arcade One Up that are really good with artwork, and then there's some that are kind of like, what were they thinking?
We have a super chat from Zohar.
All right, let me throw it up if I can find it here.
I can answer this.
Go for it.
So
Go ahead and read it.
here's the thing. Okay, Steven, I love you. He put two L's.
But he's
Was
like,
that a typo?
I'm wrong.
I love you, but you're wrong. They are a startup. Started in 2016 with Kawaii Cubes and Hatchimals. Then 2018 with Arcade One Up. They had 15 employees during that whole time. Who gives a crap? Why is that relevant now? They are no longer a startup. And if you want to think they're a startup, you can, but their marketing is too big. Their marketing is too big to be a startup. You don't make a freaking ad about pimping people's arcade or pimping an arcade room. You're not a startup anymore, bruh. You're past that. So they're not a startup. I disagree with that. And I mean, you can say that and you can think that, but I think that we're going to disagree on that one, console fanboy. So we can agree to disagree.
Yeah, I listen. I'm not going to lose sleep over if somebody disagrees with me. I've been in this online community and other communities for a long time. I mean, listen, you're entitled to your opinion. That's perfectly fine. Kevgret says, "Are you still a startup when $1 million capital firm purchases you?" And that's a great analogy
right.
there.
I mean, look at the licensing that they have.
That's
I mean,
right.
to get some of the form factors that they have from Disney, all some of these other big gaming companies that are in the mix. At the end of the day, like, we all want to be able to buy something and to get it the way we want. If you continue to buy a product from Arcade One Up and you have issues with it, like you're buying it at your own risk every time, and I assume that responsibility. But I think that a lot of the things that we bring up and talk about is more for the purpose of like, hey, these things should get fixed. They need to get fixed because we're
Yep.
arcade enthusiasts. I don't think it's to say like, oh, this product's the biggest piece of crap, and then I'm going to go buy another one. You
Well,
know,
and to be fair, Prince Malcolm in here, he says he's got a super chat. He says for iircade is a kickstart with a year and 10 months and get trashed heavily with no remorse. And Jade, I gotta agree with that. Like, thanks for the super chat, Prince Malcolm. It this reminds me. Now you did stuff with tech. It reminds me of the old, and if Travis MCP was here, he'd agree with me. The Mac versus PC versus Linux debates that we used to have back in the 90s when I was
yeah.
heavily into tech, and it used to get so old. It's like now we've got At Games versus iircade, and it's versus Arcade One Up. It's ridiculous.
And here's the thing with iircade. I think that they have. Oh my God, no, Zohar, you don't know anything about gaming if you think all their games are horrendous. Sorry, but I think that iircade is a great product with like a lot of potentiality, and they are very, very young, but they also have to be careful with how they're releasing products and how they're marketing products, because in this community, it is a very critical and gatekeepy community. And this is just
read that comment. I think you will agree with
NBA and NFL legends doing promotions well past a startup. Yeah, exactly. And those are the licensing things that I was talking about. So iircade is a company who's trying to do something really good, and they're doing something different. And they only really have two form factors that you can give different looks to because they are a multicade. We're not looking to get a Star Wars cab from them. It's more about what it's going to come down to is licensing and what kind of tech becomes available as accessories for their products.
Yep.
And that's why I think that they need to do things like incorporate Glenn's products onto their website. Do something with Sinden to where they're going to be able to do a direct to consumer with Sinden products at a more discounted price. Maybe not hugely, or bundle. You know, they need to start branching out and doing these kind of things to help their company, because they are still a startup company, and there is like a teeter within the community on whether or not iircade is good. I think that they're good and they have a lot of potential, but there are things about their products that I think they really need to overhaul. You know, small example, their monitors. 19-inch monitor, great, nice big display, but you know what? It looks like crap when you're standing to the right of it.
I think everybody here in the chat room, whether they're a fan of One Up, whether they're not a fan, whether they're a fan of iircade, I think all these companies could fix a lot of different things with their product. The problem is when they run into cost, right? These BOE monitors, everybody talks about the BOE, you know, we joke about the BOE, and they are old monitors. They're old style, but they're cost effective, and that's what they're looking at. They're saying, listen, that's why they developed the Pro Series. Like, we're going to put this out there for you guys, the arcade enthusiasts, like, that are wanting the hardcore experience, but the consumer, they're looking at it. I still have people come in, and I'll tell you what, the 12-in-1 that I have, the original Jade, I don't know if you saw that like in person, the original Centipede Asteroids cabinet, the 12-in-1, has the worst monitor that I have ever seen from a BOE monitor. It's just awful. And I think it's because a lot of those games are like black and white, so they messed with the settings on them and whatnot. But it's just awful. It looks like a giant like night light. If you're off to the side of it, it just lights up. It's not like the.
Oh, you
it's not
mean
as
like
bad
the
as a
light
10.
bleed?
Yes, it's very bad. And so, but I've never had somebody come in the game room here and be like, it's total trash. So looking at it from a consumer standpoint, Arcade One Up or any other company that's doing something with that is going to go, well, you know what? The consumers aren't complaining. It's this niche, this 0.1% that are complaining about it. And so I'm trying to understand it from both sides. It's kind of like the joke I see in the At Games pinball group. There was a guy, he asked, he says, what mod should I do? I just bought an ALP pinball machine. He says, what mod should I do? And the one guy's like, well, get a new back box with a bigger monitor, replace the 1080p playfield monitor with a 4K monitor, change out all your buttons, and get new legs to raise it up. And I'm like, sitting there and I'm going, okay, so why not just build your own at that point, right? You're basically gutting the machine. Like that makes no sense to me. Oh, and he said throw PC in it and do pinball effects. Like, I get it. These guys are hardcore, but why are you buying a $600 pinball machine or a $1,000 pinball machine?
Pull up Console Fanboy's comment here.
All right, give me a second here because the other comments came in here. All right, there you go.
I was not singing a different tune, so let me read this comment first. She lied. You only disagreed that iircade doesn't have horrendous games because you now have an iircade. Before that, you were singing a different tune, Missy. Well, Zohar, I was actually not singing a different tune. I just said I didn't want to buy an iircade. I didn't want to pay for an iircade because of the cost. Like I didn't see the value in it for me, for my collection. And they are lacking, quote unquote AAA titles. All right. They should be able to get games from Capcom because two reasons. One, Capcom licenses to console-based systems all the time. And if they're doing arcade emulation, then they should be able to get pull games from them that way as well. Either way. I mean, like, for example, it would be really cool if they were able to get the what is it? The crazy version of it's my favorite version that's on the Switch. But it's like the Street Fighter 2 HD remix.
Yeah.
Anyways, so my point is that when I said, and I think I said this to Papa Brad, if I ever found a Double Dragon that was less than $400, I might buy it. Because there are some good games, like the Sega games on iircade are the games that I really like. And it just so happens that I happened to find a Double Dragon iircade, and boom, $350. I threw my money out there and I got it. And for me, it was worth it. So what I'm saying about iircade is I'm not singing a different tune. I've been saying the same thing. There are certain things that they need to do differently. And they have games that I really like, but they are still lacking AAA titles. Lacking.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't say they don't have. I said lacking.
But I also think Zhang's approach is a little bit different. Like it's being marketed as a console. It's an arcade, but it's a console, so he's putting a lot of console games on. I personally like, and I know you're a huge fan of Beach Buggy Racing, and I am too. And so I think those types of games, Retromania, awesome on that system. But it doesn't get as much play. Like when kids come over, that's what they play. Beach Buggy Racing. That is the #1 game that gets played on that iircade. I play some of the other ones, but not as hardcore as that. And people have been slamming me on the Simpsons purchase that I did. And I'll tell you what, the Simpsons bowling, like you were telling me, we sat there and played it for hours last Saturday night. We'll probably play it again tonight. It was just a lot of fun playing the bowling.
Yeah. You can bring up that one about $9.99.
Yep.
I'll read it.
Go for it.
Would you pay $9.99 for it? Exactly. All right.
Wait, before you got to read this too. That goes with it.
Does Zohar have a cold? I'm not sure. He might have been castrated, maybe. Just kidding. Okay, but in all seriousness, would I pay $9.99 for it right now at this moment? No, absolutely not. I would not. but that does not mean that it's not a nice product. It's
Right.
just that I wouldn't pay $1,000 for one right now.
Yeah, I'm in that. I don't want to pay full price for any of these, honestly.
Rex, oh wait, Rexer, go ahead, pull that up.
All right, got it. Yeah,
Um,
there it is. He's.
okay,
Do you have a voice for him
okay.
though? Get your voice for him.
I
We gotta have a special voice for Rexer here. Can we do it like this? Can we do it? Burger time, kung fu, space invaders, R-type, trucks, and lots of great smucks. If people knew arcade games, they would know what's good.
okay. That was really good. So you can do Rexer's voice from now on. But
What are you talking about? That was him. He called in.
oh yeah. So he's right though. So you're right, Rexer. Those are good titles, and I own Kung Fu, Space Invaders, R-Type. I didn't get Truxton or Burger Time, but there's and those are both great. And like Shadow Dancer, Alien Syndrome. I mean, there are a ton of good games on there. And so that's why I'm saying like they do have a lot of good games, but they are lacking AAA titles. And when I think of that, I'm thinking of like Capcom licenses and stuff like that because there's so many good AAA Capcom games. Facts, all right? And we know that the iArcade also has enough processing power to pull off 3D games as well. So now, with that being said, back to what Prince Malcolm was saying is that they are a startup company and they're still working on it. I think that basically all they need is a little bit more of a push in their marketing department and to get more of their products out there and in the open. And this is going to open up more doors for them. What Arcade One Up had as an advantage out the door is that John D already had worked with Capcom. So that's one of the reasons that they got Street Fighter as one of their first cabs. All right. So you
Yeah.
guys have to also, weigh in on the politics here.
So.
Oh, come on, Kev
There.
Brett.
What did he say? Well, no. Kev Gret's a fan of iArcade, but there is a lot of people that sit there and say they have no.
I know, but he's saying the campaign run by One Up Camp. I think that that's a little bit over the top.
Well, okay. To be fair, though, let's be fair. This has happened throughout history with competitors. Look at Mac versus PC. Do you remember the old Mac versus PC commercials? Hi, I'm a Mac.
Oh yeah.
I'm a PC.
Yeah.
The smear campaigns have been going on forever with companies.
Forever. But you know what? John D is whenever he's on anything, he's always supportive of iArcade.
Oh
and, so it's been known that he has no ill will towards iArcade, and he's kind of like the face of Arcade One Up. So
yeah.
And I'm not
you
defending anyone. I'm just saying, like, think about things like that when you're saying that they have like a campaign against iArcade. I think that that's a little bit of an over-exaggeration. You've got guys like Michael B who have, an iArcade, and P-Dubs and all these other players in the game who have iArcades. 19K Fox. So,
all right, console fanboys got a super chat again.
Rex, you're such an iArcade shill. When T2 came out with Wired Guns, you lost it. But iArcade comes out with Wired Gun, you praise it. At least One Up got the form factor right. Okay, you know what? One Up did get the form factor right with T2, and I actually never had an issue with my T2 cab. Did the guns feel very lightweight? Yeah, they did. But you know who made those guns? You know who made them, Rexer? Sinden. And they can't release a system that has black guns on it because that's technically illegal nowadays. It's not like when we were kids. So you had to paint your guns, you had to drill a hole, and, that made it work better. But I never had any issues with my T2. So it is true. And yes, Zohar, you don't get the form factor with iArcade, but hello, it's a multicade.
No, wait. I got to bring. Wait, Rexer has something to say. Hang on a second. He says, he has laughed at them with UAG and Moat and the one-up kids online. What streams are you watching, dirtbag?
Uh-oh, he's getting personal. Let's see. They got side. Okay, so wait, who has laughed at them?
I don't know. He read the comment. How? I mean.
Oh yeah, Rexer. Who's? Oh, you're talking about John D. Okay,
yeah, John D.
I'm back. I got it. Okay, first of all,
she's going into it. First of all, here we go.
Yeah.
History lesson.
First of all, I'm a clean bag. Secondly,
oh, he wasn't calling you a dirtbag. I kind of just threw that in there just for posterity.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, anyways, first of all, Stephen, I'm a clean bag. Secondly, Rexer, you know what? Nobody is perfect. I'm pretty sure you've screwed up. I've screwed up. Everybody has said things that they probably just, maybe weren't thinking, or it came out wrong. I mean, how many times have we said something where it came out just the wrong way? I'm not going to lie. Like, sometimes I watch John D talking on these shows and I'm like, I don't think he meant to say it like that. And it might be the medicine. I don't know.
Wait a second. I got to address B here in the comments here. He goes, hey, nice CT Jason voice. Come on, man, you never watched Toy Story? And the guy goes, where is your honor, dirtbag? You are an absolute disgrace. What is he, one of the toy soldiers?
That's kind of halfway between an Arlie Ermy.
Oh man, so I got to work on. Anyways, I look. Can we play the video, the clip of John D talking about the online gameplay and kind of shift into that?
Go ahead.
The reason why, because there's something wrong with this that I kind of want to point out. So we're gonna play this
carefully.
We're gonna play this clip
carefully.
The Blitz lobbies currently says it's not live. If they get shipped next week, how soon will they go live?
No. It won't be for a few weeks.
It won't be for a week, so people can still play. Okay, got it.
Yeah. It's just I'll just tell you guys this now. Like this game is, like a lot of games, was not meant for online play. You know, and especially this version of the game that is really taxing on this chip, even though it's a higher chip, right? And then to be able to run 60 frames online. It's been very difficult. We're having difficulties with online performance right now that we're working through, and when we get closer to it, we'll be really honest about what that online experience looks like. When we get closer, when we get closer to development and knowing what that next patch is, I'll let the community know where we're at next week.
Okay, so the
wait, Stephen.
What?
Okay, first of all, we want to thank you for joining us, everyone. And if you are enjoying this and you feel like this is a constructive debate that we're having, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to TechBuzz channel. And
Shelion Gaming. You're not getting away from it that easy. This is a shade of Jayde. I think that's what we're gonna throwing some shade on Jayde. I think we got to come up with something like that. I like that. Well, I do have a giveaway coming up, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But what I want to bring up is, I think, and I know this is going to be a very unpopular point of view with this. I watched Rexer's video. I watched Rexer's videos. I thought he had a lot of good points, and I know some of you guys aren't fans of Rexer, but I mean, watch the video and keep an open mind. My issue that I have with this, and I am not getting NFL Blitz. I'm not. It's going to sit here like NBA Jam. You all know this. But as an outsider, I look at this and I go, shouldn't Arcade 1UP have come forward before putting pre-orders out there, before putting all this heavy marketing into the back end of this, before telling everybody this is going to be great, this is going to be awesome, and online, you guys, and a lot of you guys that are fans of NFL Blitz, pre-ordered with the expectation of playing this online, and now the rug's been pulled out from under you after you put your hard-earned money down on this cabinet, whether you pre-ordered it or went out and bought it, that it may be a couple weeks before you get it. Some of you guys are like, I'll wait a couple weeks. But there are other hardcores that are probably like, I'm not doing it. The other thing I didn't really agree with him on is he's like, well, 60 frames a second's hard to do online. Maybe with your hardware, but Call of Duty does it 120 frames a second. Fortnite does it 120 frames a second, even higher sometimes. So just state the obvious. It is a hardware limitation. Don't sit there and say, I felt like there was a lot of excuses made in that, and I know he's trying to stay face, Jayde, but I think that what he's saying is not entirely true. You can't say, well, it's hard to do 60 frames a second online, and this game really wasn't intended to do that. Well, then why get people's hopes up? Why even bring that out? Why even say anything like that? Am I wrong in that thinking?
I don't think you're wrong. I think that you have a lot of valid points, and I think that some of the things are, you kind of stated it that way, but it's also like questions at the same time. I mean, I think that, any hardware limitations, first of all, let me say this. I'm not sure what chipset that's running. I'm going to assume that it's a 3399 because that's what they're using on MVC2. But I don't 100% know. Secondly, I mean, if it is a 3399, they've got to be pushing that thing to the limit at the graphical settings that they're running that game on. So then you have to ask yourself, what your bandwidth, I want to say choke point because it's a military term, but what's it called when, your bandwidth gets really tight?
Oh, just like capped. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if they're having issues with like their bandwidth being capped or like, a combination of like, GPU, CPU, and processor.
Mm-hmm.
But Travis MTP is saying two things. He literally said it was a chip thing. Also, all of those games run on dedicated servers. This does not. Let's just be clear. So, I mean,
has he stated that that they're not running on dedicated servers? Has that been made? Because I was unaware of that, if that's the case. And if he did mention about the chip, I haven't heard it from him publicly that it was a chip thing. I think he's alluded to it, but he hasn't come out, and that was kind of my thoughts too, right? That it was a limitation of the chip.
Well, yeah, but if it is, I mean, okay, so let's just go with that. But regardless, what I'm still saying is it's got to be like a 3390 or something to that effect, probably that generation of chip, because that's what they're using in MVC2. So, I mean, it's got to have something to do with like that correlates with their online system that they have set up specific to that game. And this is why I've been talking about why I think it's really important that they need to build a system that is universal, that basically all their cabs will be able to run on the same type of server that has like, some level of stability to it, and that everything can kind of run through. But regardless, when was the original ship date for Blitz anyways? Like, what was the original date that everybody thought they were getting Blitz?
I want to say I thought it was October 6th, but I could be completely off base here because I stopped paying attention to it.
Somehow it shows up in stores weeks early, all right, and people are like, all right, there's no online with Blitz. Now, and by the way, to Travis's statement, he knows what he's talking about.
Really quick before we go on to that, just so you can put this to bed, can you read that super chat from Console Fanboy? Sorry.
Okay.
Because I don't want to get back into that debate again. We kind of moved past that. I just figured we'll read it here.
Jong and John are sunny boys, but Jong did kick him out of this Facebook group. Maybe that's why he stated teasing them. But he has never said anything bad about Jong hymns. I'm pretty sure I know what that meant.
Oh, and they're saying Jolly Green. He's saying September 28th. That was the original ship date. And Keo Daikin
September
says
26th.
Keo Daikin says it has nothing to do with the chip. It's not a chip thing. He says there's issues with the emulation, even with MVC2. He's buying time.
Okay, but where are you
Oops.
getting that information? Where are you getting that information
Sorry about that, guys.
from, Keo Daikin? And I'm like genuinely wanting to know where you're getting this information from. Because I know people who are in the beta testing program for the Blitz online system. So I'm just curious where.
Okay. He said
you're
September
coming up with
28th. That's what Best Buy has said this whole time. There's other factors too. Like a lot of people, there's been rumors going around about embargoes at stores that, you know, with these devices, of these items, unless like he can't tell these businesses when they can or cannot put them on the floor unless there's some kind of embargo that's written in the beginning. And from my understanding, from what he's even come out and said, there hasn't been. So technically, if Walmart decides, hey, we're going to put it out on the floor, they're not going to keep 30 cabinets in the back. They're going to put it out on the floor to get rid of them. One time I remember, Jade, back when Pac-Man, the very first Pac-Man, because there's been 50 million since then, Pac-Man came out, and it was a Black Friday only deal. Now, Arcade 1-Up would have allowed you to buy it at any given moment. It was out on the floor. I tried to get it the day before. Walmart refused to sell it to me because they said it is one of our Black Friday deals, and you can only get it on Black Friday. And that's the only time I've ever gone to a Walmart or any kind of store where they refuse to sell me a product that they've had on the floor.
Okay, Travis MCP, can you pull up his comment
Yeah,
here?
absolutely. I'm getting it here.
The problem with this community is one person says something, another person repeats it, and then it becomes the truth that everyone believes. Let me try this. John D is a space alien. Okay, so first of all, John D is now a space alien. Everybody hurry up, get on stream, and start talking about how John D is a space alien.
Travis, follow that up. What does he look like? We got to get the deets on this. We need to know.
Yeah.
What kind of, what, you know, is he all black? Is he doing like the antennae green?
Secondly, I think that, and I think that there is truth absolutely to what you're saying, Travis, but I also think that with specific to Blitz, which is like surrounding all the FOMO that went along with Blitz, you know, and when I say that, I use that term loosely, just meaning like wherever it applies. If the shoe fits, wear it.
Now look what you did, Travis. Way to go. Really appreciate that.
But then MVC2, you know, people have had concerns about the online play for MVC2, and there are, you know, rumors floating around and stuff like that, that there are concerns about online play specific to MVC2. And so, you know, I don't think that it's necessarily wrong for people in the community to be discussing things like this, but I do think that it is important for people to only like use the facts about what they know. And for example, you know, whatever John was saying on like B's stream the other day. But I mean, there is, with him saying that, I mean, that's a pretty clear indication that at this point in time, there are issues. And I think that there is confusion with like the original release date of Blitz, I thought was the end of September. And, you know, then now they're saying it's like October. And so, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's the Mandela effect. I don't know. But I mean, to me, those are issues that, you know, we're coming down to the wire. And so again, it's just one of those things that makes people go, what? What's going on? You know, so there's so much passage of information, and I'm sorry your feelings are hurt, Zohar. There's so much passage of information in this community. And I think that, you know, people are trying to kind of filter it out and sort through it and figure out what's true and what's not. And so we are trying to be careful about how we say things, our speculation versus what's actually going on. And I think that it is important for everybody to keep that in mind. Okay, what are the facts? What did John D actually say? And that's what we know. That's what we have to go off of.
And that's what we did. That's why we played the video clip of him stating that. Like, he really, he kind of danced around a few things, to be quite honest. And I understand, Travis is 100% right when he's saying about there's people spreading things that there's no foundational facts. That's why we're not coming on here and telling you, well, if NFL Blitz is like this, you can sure bet that Marvel vs. Capcom is going to be like that, because we don't know. We haven't heard that. We haven't heard him say that there's going to be a delay on this. We don't know.
What is okay, Kevgret, you said what difference does a few weeks make for what? I'm not sure if I understand the context.
I think he's referring to the online gameplay, maybe?
Yeah, but what do you mean by that? Because we thought that originally it was supposed to be released at end of September, or
and Mike, to be honest, while we're waiting for Kevgret's response, where you're saying I think he would be too embarrassed to try to show off at this point that there's still a lot of work to get done and meet people's standards. I think it's a smart move to not bring it. If it's not ready, don't put it out there, because people are going to have more times. We've told at Games this numerous times with updates. The only issue I have with he didn't say that there possibly could be a problem up front when they launch the product. I feel, my opinion is that it would have had an impact on pre-orders with the machine, because I see some of the chatter in the chat room here that was the only reason they bought this cabinet was for the online gameplay. That was, in my opinion, the only thing that they did wrong with this. He should have let customers know up front, like, hey guys, just so you know, it might be a couple weeks after the product is released that you can do online gameplay with this.
But two things. It's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that they've been working on Blitz for a long time. And regarding what
that's
you're
an
saying,
assumption.
Brett,
that's an assumption.
It should have been ready months ago, regarding Blitz Online, and maybe because these chipsets have been around for a long time too. But another thing that I just want to point out that I find kind of weird about the way that people talk about 1UP and associate John D with 1UP is that they kind of like blame, and I don't know if like they actually like make him do this on purpose. They're like, you're the fall guy, but like everybody blames everything on John D, and I'm like, dude, he's one person in this company. He's one person that is involved with like R&D and licensing, and he seems to be like the only person that is like the face of anything that goes out into the community.
He's got broad shoulders
because of his experience with gaming and all that. So it, like, all I'm saying is like John D is not the end all be all of Arcade 1UP. He is not at all the end all be all. Like, he's just one piece of it.
Hey,
so
Rexer says that he's been working on this project for years, according to him. He's actually, John D has come out and stated that. So maybe he stated it and I missed it somewhere, but okay, so if he's been working on it for years, does that really make or break?
I mean, well, no. I mean, and that's, so they've been working on it for years and whatever, and here we are, at the end, and this stuff is coming out. But again, this goes back to like, I think their marketing, and that is a sign that a company is young, is when they have issues with their marketing. Arcade 1UP is getting a lot better, but they still have issues, and I brought this up before. The whole thing with Justin Wong's stream playing MBC2, that never should have happened. And if it did happen, it should have been filmed professionally, and they only should have shown people what they wanted them to see. It would be just like any other game that's getting released where they do like preview video reels of it, i.e. Cyberpunk's a great example. When we first saw, footage from Cyberpunk gameplay, it looked good. It looked really good, and everybody was like, oh my God, I can't wait to play this. That's how people should be about Arcade 1UP. then get disappointed, right? Then get let down.
It's a freaking toy, for Pete's sake, right?
But
I mean, come on.
it's a marketing thing. But that's
No,
what
it
I
is.
mean. Like,
It is.
he's not the end all be all. And the marketing aspect of it needs to get improved a lot. And, as well as some of the, as well as like issues with the products and stuff like that.
And honestly, like, we're not the be all. This is just our opinion. This is what we're seeing. This is what I'm seeing. I'm giving my opinion. Everybody else gives their opinion and they do videos and whatnot. I am not a video per se person. Okay, I like to do live stuff. And listen, we wanted to give you guys the ability to say we're wrong, say you're right, without having people get into this big, huge spat. Because let me tell you something, this type of stuff is very critical for the home arcade universe to make it better. Listen, Retro Ralph in the chat room says, great show. I agree with Travis. People say things without empirical evidence, and then it's fact. I still think he's an alien, though. I do think that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, they should have had online ready, but the team doing it is someone that will get it right. And, I mean, like I said, I just think that they should have been up front from the get-go. I think the community would have received it better, Jade. Don't you think? If they would have just been upfront and honest, they would have just blown over.
I think they need to stop leaking things and talking about things that aren't. Dude, I'm serious. Like,
no, you're right.
You're
right.
It's a problem.
You're
what
right.
they need to do is keep things under wrap until they absolutely are 95 to 100% confident that there's not going to be any issues. That is the best way to deal with tech stuff, because then you have all these people in a tech community that are like, rah, and they want to, like, be goblins about everything, and everybody's going to talk about it and speculate on things that are said and thrown around, and then you have things that get misconstrued and yada 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 yada. And not to mention, you have things like Reddit and Twitter and all these other things. My advice to 1UP would be, don't talk about any of this stuff. You can talk about something that's expected to be released. Like, here's when we're expecting to release it, is this time of year. And if that's not going to work, then you start saying, oh, we're going to have to delay it and push it out. And you don't talk about why. You just don't give specifics, because the minute you do that, it gets worse and worse and worse.
Read, because we're on the crap list now from Console Fanboy, so he gave us a super chat.
I love how you guys think you knew everything. Actually, John D has been working on NFL Blitz for years to get the licenses. Get your facts right. Jesus, didn't I just say I'm pretty sure that they've been working on it for years? And then
no, I think he's referring.
Exact thing?
I think he's referring to the chat room.
Oh, okay.
I think. Well, here's
I don't know.
Here's the thing. I don't know if people remember the days of @Games leaking things, but wasn't there a National Owners Day? I want to say it was like somebody in the chat room helped me out, like two years ago, where they released that racing cabinet that they were going to bring, which quietly just kind of got put on the back burner and probably is not going to come out.
Rexer said, don't blame the YouTubers for leaking it when John D sends them a text to leak it. Okay, but Rexer, my point is that Arcade 1UP needs to not say anything because it causes more problems for them. And then, like, by the way, everybody in the community, I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people in the community just, like, totally buy into this, and you guys lose your shit. Why are you guys, what are you losing it about, dude? It's frickin' YouTube.
Just play the games.
Like, yeah. No.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to pull that up. But yeah, I was just going to say, I'll pull that up for Rock because he makes a good point on this.
Yeah, no disrespect.
Wait, stop. You got to do a Ralph voice.
Hey, guys. No disrespect to John, but they need a community marketing person controlling the message to the content creators. Yes, it would solve so many of the problems they have. One single point of truth. Yes, exactly. And they need to keep things under wrap as a company. If you give too much information to the content creators, and then they're putting it out, it's like playing telephone.
Yes.
I mean, it gets distorted quick.
Can I answer this question from Kevgret about? Let me answer this about David. He says, "Why doesn't David give more of an official statement?" Now, any content creator out there, and I like David. I want to put this out there. If you've ever had David on your show, you know you would rather watch paint dry than to have him give a statement or be on a show. And he's just not a personality to be on camera. He's very to the point, very PR centric. So you're going to get a PR answer, and that's not what the community is looking for. The community wants that in your face. They want that information, and I know it's not ideal sometimes, but David is. We've had David on the show before, and he's not a camera personality.
Kevgret, next comment. I want to answer that.
Yeah, I'll pull you up here. Go ahead.
Okay. So if they do that, 7 YouTube channels will die, and this is where I disagree.
I disagree with that.
Based on this, okay, you have like iPhone, right? Every year, as soon as the new iPhone comes out, what happens? They start talking about the next iPhone, and all these channels start speculating on it, and it's all speculative because rarely ever is there any kind of leak from Apple until maybe like a day or two before an event. And with that being said, it's usually such a minute leak. It's like it's a crumb of a crumb. And so all year these channels are speculating on what they think. They have no inside information from Apple. And if it was more like that, those channels would still exist, but then people wouldn't have anything. They wouldn't have any hard evidence to say like, oh, they lied to us, they did this, they did that, because Arcade 1Up themselves as a company isn't saying anything until the product is being ready to be released.
Oh, 100%. I think just being in that space, and I know if Travis is still around, he can tell you. I mean, these debates have been going on for years in the tech space, broadcast space. I mean, it's everywhere. You can't get away from it. The problem is
basically the punching bag for Arcade.
Yeah, and
I mean,
the
arcade community.
This isn't going to be a statement that people are not everybody's going to like. But I almost feel bad for John sometimes, because it's like he's trying to be as diplomatic as he can, and he's gone out of his way to help a lot of people in the community, and not just YouTubers. Okay, this isn't a pee on John moment here, but I mean he's taken on a lot of heat for a lot of this stuff, and he's playing cleanup, and maybe he is enlisting in YouTubers to help him on certain ones. Maybe he's not. The fact is, the guys that are doing this, the YouTubers that are doing this, they love the product. They love what they're doing. I get some people they don't like that. And he's taking the heat for it. It's not a position I'd want to be in. Let's put it that way, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. And Brad says, the customer is the beta tester, and
we talk about at games now. I'm sorry.
Was that
no, I'm joking.
No.
I'm joking.
Oh wait, you know what? But hold on. Rexer says same as now, but no early news speculation videos. Which, yeah, that would be more true. Kongzarus has a good one here. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up here. And then we'll read Lockanini. Go ahead. Wait, you got to have a Kong's voice. If you're going to do it, you got to do it right. Because he picked on me the last time we did it.
Well, then you have to do his voice.
Oh, really? Okay, let me see if I can do this. All right. Okay, talking about facts. John D has never shared information to leak with me once the actual leak has been discovered, aka Gamefly. We then usually ask him for more details, which he sometimes shares, or sometimes doesn't. Nobody is getting specific information. Did that work?
So,
we're just having fun, guys.
We love you, B. Okay, so, but basically, here's the thing, though, B, is that he's still giving you guys information, which means that information is still coming out way prior to anything actually being available. And this is my point. If Apple does something like that's similar to a GameFly leak, let's just use them as an example, you're not going to be able to get any inside information from them to actually leak into the speculation that you have based off of what you saw on GameFly. So that's the difference. And that's what I'm saying Arcade 1UP needs to do, is they need to have tight lips about things. If something leaks onto GameFly or Walmart or whatever, fine. But they need to not talk about it. It needs to be a no comment type thing. And they need to follow that model, because like I said, the more that they give the community, the more it's going to get distorted as time goes on and the product is not available.
Well, let me play devil's advocate with you on this and the chat room. So let's say every company that is in the home arcade space, or any game company, all of a sudden takes that approach. They stop leaking information. They stop working with certain YouTubers, so content creators, whatever. And then no news comes out until the day of launch. In my realm of marketing, that to me takes you out of sight, out of mind with the consumer. So constantly having these leaks going out constantly keeps that company in the forefront of everybody's mind. And that's one thing I will tell you, Arcade 1UP does a good job of it. They're constantly just feeding enough to keep content creators talking about their product when everybody else goes dark and nobody else is bringing out either new games or new functionality.
If you know that they're working on a product line, so let's say that we know, let's just say they do an announcement, okay? 3 cabs, all right? And these cabs are their TBD, release date, but they're year 2023, let's say, like third quarter of 2023 or something like that. People are still going to speculate on what those cabs are going to be like, but you're not going to be having like this constant leak of information, about like the online play, what it's going to be capable of, this, that, and the other. And then on top of that, to feed into that, if they were basing all of this off of a singular UI, it would eliminate some of the concerns within the community about whether or not it's even going to play correctly online, or whether or not the emulation is going to be correct. And those are issues that we have. I mean, look at Mortal Kombat, no lobbies. And it's basically based on a different type of online architecture than, for example, like Killer Instinct is, which was done by Code Mystics. And Code Mystics has said that they basically just weren't contracted to do lobbies for Mortal Kombat, if I'm not mistaken. So it's all these little things that come into combination with it, and that are kind of, it's too much information. It's way too much. They need to really tone it down and let the YouTubers do their things and speculate on it. If there's like a model of what it looks like, cool, let people speculate on it. But the thing is that they're not just doing one form factor. Their form factors change, and it's sometimes specific to the type of arcade machines that they're releasing. So I just think that they need to be way more tight-lipped about how they're doing things. And again, my offering of solution to a lot of the problems that they have with their UI or online play is do something universal.
That's all we're trying to do here, guys. We're trying to come up with, if you're going to complain about something, at least have a solution to offer to somebody, right? We're not saying that we should run the company. We're not saying that at all. That there's a lot of, like Jayde's saying, there's a lot of things that you could cut out to potentially make things better here. Let's see, we got some comments here. 1UP Underground. He says the problem is we got to, okay, so let me see what we can do is, the problem is many YouTubers are trying to outshill each other about the same content leak, release, And then John D sees free advertising and marketing until it drops. Hang on a second, my eyes can't read that quick. As long as the cabs they sell, they will take the heat in exchange for your money. Kind of agree with that. Free advertising. I think that's a lot of these companies. I mean, that's the exchange that you do when you're dealing with or working with any company.
When they're how are they shilling when?
I'm not agreeing with the shilling part, but I'm agreeing with the free marketing. I mean, they're giving you information in hopes that you'll put it out in a video, and it's kind of that exchange. You're in the know.
Yeah. I mean, are they depending on the consumer base just being stupid and having a really short-term memory?
I don't know.
Because I feel like that's like what it is like if you're doing something like that repeatedly, and people get all upset about it every time, and then they buy the product, and there's no real solution or offering of some way to make it better, and they're continuing to like do things that way. It's basically like saying, well, the consumer base is stupid enough that they're going to get all pissy, but then they're still going to buy it in the end.
Again, the consumer's mind is a lot different than yours and mine, and most of the people here that are in the chat room, they're looking at it. Again, I switched out certain components in my arcades. I've put Sanwa sticks in some of my fighting cabinets. People come over on a game night. Ralph. What's that?
Super chat from Retro Ralph.
All right, I'll pull that up here. But let me finish my thought real quick. I've changed them out, and not one person has ever said, "Oh, you put Sanwa joysticks in this." I mean that's the consumer base, right? So you want to pull, you got to read Ralph's now. Make sure you get that voice ready because you deflated on the last one. Come on.
I can't do it the whole time. He's got too much charisma. Okay. Hey guys.
No. You got to do this. You got to go. Hey guys, I have to run, but this is the gold standard for productive and professional criticism in the conversation. Awesome show. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the next one.
You too, Ralph. And thanks for.
I think I nailed that.
I nailed it. Nailed it.
You didn't move your lips though. You were supposed to move your lips as if you were. Oh, we got to work on it. We got to work on the future.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it.
Okay. but that's all we're saying here. I mean, guys, you all have your opinions, and I'm sure if I was a company, Jayde, and I was watching or listening to this show or caught a glimpse of it, or somebody sent me a link to it, I would go back and I would analyze everything that everybody's saying in the chat room. This is valuable information, not just what we're saying, because we're part of the community too, but they could take what the customer base, because that's what we are, we're all customer base, in the chat room and say, the consensus is they didn't like that we did this. They liked that we did this. They weren't too sure about this, and we can fix these problems going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slippery slope too, and I see you trying to troll me, Zohar, but that's just not true. It's a slippery slope, because of you have the huge, community out here on YouTube, and all the people that are part of it or creating content. And then you have like the consumer base that's just kind of outside of it, and maybe might sub to some of the YouTube channels, or maybe might not and just might be buying it. So it is a slippery slope because, for those people, they're probably not noticing a lot of the inconsistencies like we've talked about before, but it's annoying. It's annoying that it's not important enough to the company to fix, because those are things that do need to be fixed, even if the normal quote unquote consumer base, if it's not bothering them, like I that's not my problem. I'm a gamer consumer, and for other people who are gamer consumers, they deserve a product that doesn't have all these flaws in the software or hardware. So I mean, there are ways to fix it. I think it can and will get better. And I think that it is true. A lot of people have brought up that the community needs to really be honest and be giving out good information and really delineate between what their opinion is, what their ideas are, and what's actually being said. So
read Stevie B's. You'll agree with it. I have it pulled up for you, and then I'll pull the second part.
Okay, here's a solid test. Ask yourself, when I analyze what comes out of my mouth, is it mostly negative or positive? At times, good people become unbalanced in their speech, okay?
And then this is from Quagson.
The only voice is money. So I think that there's two truths there that we just had. And I totally agree, especially on YouTube, Stevie B, like it is easy to get caught in the waves of YouTube. And I'll use that analogy. It's kind of like an ocean in here of consciousness, like that's just flowing. And, there's like the storm kind of in the home arcade community at times. And I think that people do get too caught up in it and they really take it personally.
But to your comment earlier, maybe it was the other gentleman, One Up Underground.
I mean, I have.
Yeah, let me ask you though, Jade. Do you agree with him that you like a lot of these guys that are we've seen people call them cliques in the community? Do you think it's one of those that, because they're all fighting over the same content, they're all fighting to get this content out? Do you think it's one of those scenarios of keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer scenario? That, I mean, I know some of these guys are friends. Don't get me wrong. I'm friends with a lot of these guys too. But do you think that a lot of these content creators that are coming up, they're doing one of these numbers like it's a race to get this out? I think a lot of the veteran content creators know that it's not always who's first, it's about who's best, who brings the best content, who takes the time to put it in. So I think there's a little bit of that truth in the community, no?
I mean, I think that there may be a little bit of that, but to me, it doesn't seem like there should be, just because, I mean, if you look at people, like how many subs they have and like the type of content that they're pushing out, like they shouldn't be worried, because with the amount of subs that they have and the frequency that they're pushing out content, like they shouldn't even care. I mean,
they shouldn't, but they do. That's the thing.
I mean, that's us being a little bit presumptuous, Stephen, but we could say that they do
this
based on some experiences.
The whole statement was presumptuous. I'm not saying it's
Yeah, no.
don't, because that'll be all over the internet.
Yeah, I'm just playing devil's advocate with you. Wait, what did Kong say? Interesting point, Jade. Arcade went up.
Go ahead.
Interesting point, Jade. Arcade went up. Marketing team just was totally focusing on the masses, not the 5% of us that have these products. They've shifted recently to focus hardcore consumers with direct to consumer, and yeah, I mean, right, live, and I think that that's good. I think that they're at the beginning of that, and Liv is really cool. She's really nice. I don't really know like what her history is with video games. Like I know what her history is in the market, but I don't know what her actual history is with video games. And that's one thing that's good about John, is that he actually has a history with video games and can speak that language. I don't know how well she speaks that language. But I mean, it's good that they've started going in that direction.
What about this comment here from One Up Underground?
Arcade One Up is using Android software. iircade is also true. Will there be a point where One Up meets and beats iircade performance? Well, One Up is using the same chipset that iircade has in their new gen cabs right now. I can't say for sure on Blitz, but I know that MVC2 is using a 3399. That's the same thing that's in the iircade. So as far as hardware goes, are they on matching levels with their newest generation of cabs? Then yes. I've talked about Arcade One Up going in a different direction. I don't want to get into the whole explanation of it, but Ralph jokingly said, you know, that we're going to call them Jadecades, and it's basically a more premium Arcade One Up machine that is on a singular UI that is specific to a brand, for example, Capcom, and it allows you to download like any of their licensed Capcom games onto that cab. For example, it'll come with 8, and then you can download and pay for each one additionally for like $5 a piece or something like that. So I think that Arcade One Up could go in the direction that iArcade has taken from the beginning, and they could use that to their advantage. Whether they will or not, I don't know.
I'm sorry, I'm reading this super chat here from Endless.
In a Dan voice.
Go ahead, you're up.
Okay. All right, here we go. Here's my best Dan voice.
Okay.
It's somewhere between like maybe Yoda and I don't know, Bobcat Wiley. I just want you to read this in the best Dan voice. LOL.
Oh, you two have the Force?
I'm sorry, Dan.
You sounded more like Yoda.
I just don't have the chest to do it.
Oh my goodness, that was great. Dad, that was worth $2. I would have even paid that. That was worth $2. Oh my goodness.
Wait, where console fanboy said, can you pull his comment up?
Yeah, I could pull it up here. But a lot of these guys, Jade, are probably like me, who got into this. I'll pull that up in a second. A little bit before COVID, during COVID, I wanted to build. They're not perfect arcade machines. They're not perfect replicas, but I wanted to build an arcade room that, like, my kids' friends can hang out in, that I can bring friends over and we have a game night like I do every Saturday. For me, like, I don't sit here and I don't get into, some of these arguments that I don't know. I just think they're kind of petty. There's Mr. Console's fanboy.
Okay, hold on. Let me give you a new voice here, Zohar. Oh God, John has already stated many times he's having Liv and Justin as spokespeople and is going to be on less often. That's why they're the hosts of that one-up show. So I hope that was like a little bit more upbeat for you, Zohar. You're welcome. But okay, so
you forgot the get it right part.
Oh wait, there's still more. Okay.
Oh yeah, there's more.
John D has already stated many times that he's appointing Liv and Jay Wong as the official spokespeople and will be on less. That's why they're the hosts of the official one-up show, not John D. Get it right. Okay, even though John D was the one who was just on the Pimp My Arcade video and all this other stuff, and I'm going to get to P-Dub's comment in a second.
Yep, no worries.
But either way, I mean, that's great, but like, what I mean is, has anybody heard Liv speak the language of video games, And again, I am absolutely not saying anything negative about Liv. She is a cool person. She's nice. I'm just asking, like, what is her knowledge base of video games? Can she speak that language?
Can I dovetail that really quick? With the whole Liv thing, where you guys are, like, hey, John D's a spokesperson, but you got to remember something. Justin Wong and Liv are not broadcasters. This is something that takes time, doing a live show. Liv is, as somebody that's been doing broadcasting for 17 years, I sit there and I look at Liv, and she's still uncomfortable being on camera yet. She's still trying to get her feet wet, so to speak. They're doing it monthly. So there's a lot of time that passes between shows. I do multiple shows a week, ones that you guys don't even see because I do it for my job. I'm used to being on camera. I'm used to producing high-end video in stressful situations and being on camera. So when I look at somebody like that, it's going to take time. John is a natural on camera, okay? He can hang with the best of them. So he's trying to in his best way, get them acclimated to being on air. I mean, Jayde, you know yourself, it's not an easy task when you're producing and hosting at the same time, and then you're trying to follow a chat room. If you've never done it before, it gets a bit daunting.
Yeah, I mean, it can be. Definitely. I mean, it takes some getting used to. So yeah, sure. I agree that they need to be primed and stuff like that. Here's Pete Up's comment. Will Arcade 1UP eventually release arcade games from the 2000s that run on the same hardware as iircade? Yes, absolutely. But they will still only put 1 to 14 games on a cabinet. Their model won't change. Right. And that is, I think that's very accurate. And they're already using the hardware that iircade is using. However, like I was saying, I think that they're eventually going to have to move. I think it would be a wise move. I don't think they're going to have to, but I think it would be a wise, lucrative move for them to eventually move to a model where they have a, cab that is based on a certain genre or company of video games. For example, Capcom. Enough said about that.
Yeah. Endless, he wanted to say thank you. He said thank you for the laugh. Another $2 super chat. Thank you, Endless. We appreciate you guys throwing that out there. Before we get to any more of the comments and continuing on with this here, you guys know I mentioned it on Friday or Thursday show, so used to Friday, on Game Time, that I had picked up a Legends Bit Pixel or Bit LCD, excuse me. And we want to do a giveaway with this, and what I'm trying to do is reach 10,000 subscribers, and I know we can do this fairly quick, but I also want to put it out there. I'm going to do a video on this. How are you going to be able to do this? How can you get in this giveaway? What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to subscribe to the Fab Four, us, from Game Time. Myself, Jayde, Bill, and Glenn. We want to get those subscribers up. These guys want to build their YouTube channel as well. So anything you can do to help with that. When I finally put this video out for the giveaway, leave a comment saying, "Hey, I subscribed to all four." We can go back and validate that you've subscribed and get you in the running to get this Bit LCD. Now, it is something that you guys have been giving super chats. It's a way that I could. Again, I told you I was going to use the super chat money to pick up something like this. I have a day job. So this was a great way that I can give it back to the community, and the four of us can kind of help, get our channels a little bit higher. So I really appreciate it. And I want to thank P-Dubs from the Loft Report last night for really, giving us that $25
the Loft Report. I thought it was Super Game Room.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so used to I'm just so used to original names that totally slipped my mind. I apologize. It's just things like that, man. It's just so hard to keep track. Super Game Room, dudes. My fault. I apologize.
Oh, by the way, when I reach 1,000 followers, I'm also doing a giveaway of this awesome brand new copy of Pokken Tournament DX. So
wow, turn it sideways just a little bit to get rid of the glare. Just like make it at an angle. There you go. Oh, you had it. You had it. Oh, wait, there you go. There you go.
Oh wait, there we go.
There you got it.
Yeah. So for the Nintendo Switch, it's brand new. And I will give details out for that again on my next live. But heyo.
We're gonna try to give out more stuff as time goes on, as we keep doing this. But I know I should say that Console Fanboy is probably going to sponsor the next giveaway with as many super chats as he put in here yesterday or today, excuse me. So we're gonna hopefully find some other stuff that you guys might like. Cabinets would be hard to give away unless you're doing it directly with a company, because shipping is astronomical. It's ridiculous. But hey, it works. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back to P-Dubs. He says it was a solo donation from my channel. Okay, so thank you to P-Dubs Arcade Loft for the donation. He's like, man, we ain't giving those guys credit. Are you kidding me? This is out of my wallet, man. We ain't. We ain't doing
Zohar, Zohar, I'm so sorry your feelings are hurt.
Wait, why is he?
You know what? You're being really sensitive today. Is everything okay? Are you doing all right?
He says, "I will never super chat again." Oh man.
You know what? Zohar is, even though he's like also the community troll, he's like one of the biggest supporters of everybody's channel. So
yeah, he is.
Regardless of your sensitivity today, Zohar, I do appreciate you. Okay. And I don't actually think you sound like a gremlin troll or whatever voice I was making. Okay.
The gremlin. I did bees. I did Ralph's. Who else did we do? We did endless. We're just having a little fun here to break up the monotony. We want it to be kind of a more neutral. I don't want to call it a debate because it's not really a debate. I think this is useful information to the right people. I think that's something rather than because what I've been seeing a lot lately is just people are not enjoying their arcades. They're complaining about them more than they're enjoying them. And like at the end of the day, you own them because you enjoy them. Whether you're doing content on them, whatever, it don't matter. But if you're not enjoying it, and Jade, you and I, we discussed this. I mean, this was one of the reasons I walked away from the arcade, the home arcade market for almost a year. Because I was getting to the point where I just wasn't enjoying it. It was making me sick to my stomach. I was getting too close with the companies, and I didn't feel like I could say what I wanted to say and be open in fear of retribution. And it's not a good place to be in. And at the end of the day, I want to come in here and I want to enjoy these cabinets. And if I do content on them, great. But I want to enjoy the purchase that I made because it's a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely, I've been to the point where I just feel, I don't know, overwhelmed and just kind of like fed up with it. And, I've only been doing this for, some months. So,
you're being corrected.
And okay, I'm sorry. You are a comedian, Zohar. But seriously, like, I just like I have to remember, like, take a step back. I can't take anything seriously. Like, it's YouTube.
Yeah.
And to me, this whole community is like, a kind of like a dysfunctional family, but nonetheless, like, I don't want anybody to feel like an outsider. I wouldn't want to feel that way coming in. And, just because people have different opinions and ideas on things, I don't think they should be chastised for it. I do think that out of respect for other people, though, like, we shouldn't, personally attack each other and take things so personally. I mean, my thing is, if somebody actually gets serious on here and is actually upset about something, it's like to the point, and everybody learns this differently. I think for me, it's my history as a person, like, and some of the things that I've dealt with in my past. But it's just like, I just can't actually take it seriously on here. Like, there's nothing to really be upset about just because somebody has opinion. I mean, why? What are you actually upset about?
Because you disagreed
with me. Right, because somebody disagreed with you, or because somebody called you an idiot.
Yeah.
And you actually value that person's
yes.
opinion about you?
Yes.
Oh, well, okay then, Steven. Let me condescend to you. Okay, hold on. Let me condescend to you more.
Oh man, can't you do it to like Console Fanboy or somebody? Like, I'm always getting beat up here. What the heck? I got beat. Listen, when P-Dubs and I used to do a show, I got beat up on that.
Look at.
And now I'm getting beat up here.
Console Fanboy is trolling. I mean, he's comedianing me more. You don't think you should personally attack anyone? Meanwhile, she attacks me. Hypocrisy much?
That is kind of funny. That
was a joke based on our live. Remember when I had my last live, Console Fanboy, and we were talking about how you get really mad, and you admittedly said, I do get really mad. and then we were making the joke about baby diapers. I mean, I thought we were going with that, but if you want me to stop, I will.
Listen, everybody's going to have a different opinion, and everybody's opinion is just that. It's an opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right or I'm wrong, even though I am right. It just it doesn't mean that. And honestly, you will enjoy this community a lot more if you just take everything with a grain of salt. I mean, yeah. All these companies, they have a lot of things to work on, but you got to factor in. Think about when you were 9 or 10 years old, and you always dreamed about one day what your house would be like, what you would do for a living, who you'd be married to, how many kids you'd have. Did you ever dream that you'd have a home arcade in your basement or in a separate room of your house? And now you have that. If you would have told 9-year-old me that I was going to one day have an arcade in my basement, I would have laughed. And here it is. So that same nostalgia, that same excitement, that's what I try to bring into my own space. And that's what keeps me going. Obviously the community's great too, but if you don't, it's just going to eat you alive. It just, I don't know. I see it too much.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. And, One Up, he was very open about his experience. And, everybody is entitled to do what they need to do for their personal or mental health and everything. But I mean, if it gets to you that much, it's definitely take a step back and like give yourself a break, It's just that there's nothing, I just don't think there's anything that needs to be taken that seriously. I think we should be here to help each other, share our experiences. And like I talked about on my live last night, one of the reasons why I actually got on YouTube was because I came on here looking for inspirations and ideas and stuff like that, and wanted to be able to offer that up and offer the things that I've learned up to other people in the community. And I think that's kind of why a lot of us get started. It's not because we want to chill or do this or do that. And so I think that it is though easy to sometimes get caught up in the waves and get lost in that. And it's just the way it is, and everybody is so different that you can't expect things to just be the way that you want them to all the time. So
yeah, and there's a lot of great comments here coming in. Quag, and he says at 1/10 of a price and size and weight of a real cabinet. And I don't know how to say this guy's name. We'll just call him SJ. SJ says, I don't get the whole back and forth between One Up versus iircade. We own products from both companies. I own from all of them. In fact, Jade's going to yell at me, but I'm still looking to get an MVSX. I had one for review, but no, there's no drama here, Zero Hero. We're having an open discussion because there's been a lot of controversy over this whole online forum with online games. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, and we know that. And we're just trying to have a rational discussion about expectations, right? I think that would be the best way to summarize the discussion, right? I think some of the expectations, the bar was set a little too high. And some of that by Arcade One Up, to be fair. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely Hilo X. Yeah. I definitely I have a diverse collection. I do have a lot of one-ups, but I've got an iircade, I've got an MVSX, and I turned my Big Blue into a multicade, and I've got a Donkey Kong, and then I've got my multicade in my garage. So I have a lot of variety, and I think that if you're into the home arcade scene, it's important to give yourself the opportunity to check other things out, and if you vibe with it, you do. If you don't, you don't. And it's all good. But I mean, Zohar's a great example. Yep. He had an iircade, and he really just ended up not being happy with it. So, but I mean, he did it, and that's his thing. That's his opinion. So, it is what it is. But there's no reason for me to be like, no, you're wrong to anybody. You know, your experience is going to be what it is for you.
And you know, I think Dave, appreciate that as well as the other content creators. I like this time because I remember, like you said, about the simpler times back then. But I like with all these new content creators coming in because it's new blood, it's new perspective, it's new insight into the industry from other people that haven't been, again, no pun intended, jaded by the companies, because we were all very well intertwined. Ralph said it. P-Dubs, myself, we've all been really close to the companies, and we had to take a step back because we got to a point where we couldn't be biased. To be fair, I think if every one of the content creators, if you talk to Ralph, you talk to P-Dubs, and he's in the chat room, would say that there was a point where we were at the point of no return. We couldn't be unbiased for fear of repercussions. So having new folks coming in like Papa Brad and some of these other guys, Jade and Wild Bill and Moat and UAG, and I mean, I think back to the community show when UAG first, he was scared to death to come on, that guy. And now look at him. He's doing many shows out there. And Papa Brad's another one. Endless One Up. Papa Brad was scared to death to get on camera. We kept coaxing him. We're like, come on, Brad, come on the community show. He'll tell you. And he's like, man, I can do this. And he started a channel. He started iircadians. So I think it's good. But I also think it pushes each other to be better. Right? Because you see something that's going on, and you guys, the community, benefits from it, because when somebody does something different on stream, it pushes the other content creators to step up their game, which in turn makes the content better for you guys. So it's a good thing. It really is a good thing, because I'll see something Jade does, and I'm going, that's interesting. And then I copy her. Because that's what you do. Because you see something that's good and you want to do that. I'm not, I mean, Jade, how many shows, when you first started looking in this live streaming, how many shows did you look at and you go, I like the way they do this? And dare you say it, you copied them.
Yeah, no, definitely.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's what I'm talking about. We get that inspiration from other content creators and that, urge to share. So, yeah, I totally agree. And that's it. Like, we technically want his super chat before that.
Is there? Let me go back. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, read it.
But we want that. We want to give people something to look at, right? So Console Fanboy says, as long as there are awful products, there will always be an honest person talking about it and a shill being upset about it.
Yeah, and Zero here is right. This is a good. Go ahead and read that comment. That's a very.
You can enjoy a stream and not agree with his opinion. And I think he said something earlier up there about everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I completely agree with that. Everybody is entitled to their opinion, and if it bothers someone that much, then they just need to do something to keep it away from them. But I mean, and that's for them. That's for anybody or however they feel about it. For me, I may not always agree with everything I see, but it doesn't bother me that much. It's YouTube.
Just look at our text message receipts. She doesn't agree with anything I have to say. Hammers me every day. Tells me how out there my ideas and opinions are. So she's not lying.
Yeah.
No, I'm teasing. No, she's not.
No, I'm waiting for screenshots to come up here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, so Dave is 100% right. And Dave, I wasn't coming down on you, but I really, you made a valid point. It was easier. We're all working together. We're all trying to grow, but let's push each other to be better, build each other up. And I think there's too much of that in the community where, I mean, there's just a lot of backbiting and stuff, and it's just got to go, man. I'm like, I don't want to hate doing content. I mean, I'll sit there and I'll look at I'll be honest. Let me just go there. I don't know if 19K Fox is still around, but I'm gonna say this real quick. I was looking around for this wire mod that I did on T2, and I came across 19K Fox's video, and I was telling P Dubs, I says, hey, I saw this guy 19K Fox do this video where like he cut the bottom of the holster off, and I said, it just seems so invasive. I'm like, what? Like I drilled a 1/2-inch hole in the bottom because I was like, we could just run the cord through it, and then I had my son try it, and he's like, Dad, this is great, but we got to fish the wire back through, and I'm like, And so I got the idea of using the weight on it like the sprayer, and P Dub's like, man, you need to do video on this, and I said, yeah, but I don't want Fox to be like mad at me because I'm doing this video and it's kind of a different way than what he did. His was inspiration. He goes, nah, he's like, Fox is cool, we'll do it. And Fox actually commented on the video, and he was like, yeah, man, hey, that's a great suggestion for people. That's how the community needs to be, not like, I ain't gonna do a video now because so and so did it. The more videos that you have, the more insight you can get, because P Dubs might point out something that I didn't point out. Jade might point out a few things that neither of us pointed out.
No, totally. And that's another really good point is, having variety, because I know there's a ton of times where I have gone through YouTube looking for if somebody else did this mod or if somebody else did something. And, there might only be one video, or there might not even be a video. I might find like a thread on Reddit or something. And so then that makes you want to make a video because there has to be other people looking for this, right? And then other people may add in details or, put comments in there that help. So it definitely, it's definitely important to have that variety in a community like this because there's always someone looking.
All right, I figured it out now. P-Dub says, I just don't understand the whole YouTube police thing right now. If you don't like another content creator, just pretend they don't exist, block them, and focus on yourself. That explains why P-Dub doesn't talk to me anymore. He's blocked me, pretends I don't exist. It all goes back to the days of Legend Center, Jade. He just can't get over the fact that I hit him in the face with a pie. He still, to this day, he holds animosity to me because his wife got mad because the pie went everywhere in his office.
You mean P-subs, right?
P-subs? Is that what you're calling them then? P-subs?
No, I didn't say that. They made it up last night.
Oh.
Who made that up? Dubs?
Console
Somebody
family.
in the chat.
Can I borrow $60? He's joking, folks. He's joking. He wrote an LOL after that.
Yeah, and we talked about that earlier, Zero Hero. He said 1UP is a great example of how we improve the product as a community. A lot of these guys don't remember when we got cabinets with no lid
I remember
keys,
that.
etc. Yeah, we talked about that earlier, about how they have actually taken cues from the community, and that things just don't happen overnight. Like that's just, it's just the way it is. Like things are never going to happen that way. We're never just going to get the perfect product overnight, and it has been like that with 1UP, where they've been taking a lot of cues from the community, and I'm sure from people on the inside saying like, hey, we need to do this, or it's not going to work out well.
Yeah, and my personality, I'm not the funniest guy. I'm not the most. I like things, and Jade will tell you, I'm very timely. I like things to look professional. That's just the broadcast background. So my style is totally different than hers. Like I'm freaking out. It's 10 minutes before the show, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm still getting out of the shower." I'm like, "Dude." We're like ready to go live here.
I was on time.
I
have good time management. See, I have that.
If you're on time
management where I
you're
can
late.
5 minutes.
If you're on time,
5 minutes
you're late.
15 minutes prior. But
California girls.
Hey, you're saying you're not funny and stuff. I think I look like paint drying sometimes.
Paint. No, I haven't been on a show yet where somebody. I interviewed one girl one time. She was like a Fortune 500 startup, and I'm not going to mention who it is because everybody will start Googling it. It was a 2-hour interview. I met her at CES. She's like, I want to come on the show, so I had her on the show, and it was just her and I. I would ask a question, thinking I was going to get an elaborate answer, like, "Oh, how did you get your start into such and such a business?" And she was like, I just kind of decided one day to do this." And that was it. And then I'm like, "Oh my, I have 20 questions here," hoping like 10 an hour. You know, like you get some discussion going between. Yeah, that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
First 20 minutes, I blew through 20 questions, and it was the worst. I didn't have enough commercials to run.
What's your favorite food?
It was awful. Honestly, that's how it was. It was like, think of the worst date you've ever been on where somebody was not communicative, and this is like 10 times worse. It was awful. And since that was probably the worst person I've ever had on a show. I've never had somebody that was at that caliber. So that's a good thing, right?
Totes. Did you see what Bill said there?
Yeah. See, Bill knows. If you're on time, you're late. That's all it always is, even for work. I'm always like an hour. Well, I shouldn't say an hour. Probably half hour, 15 minutes
Don't
early.
you have to go hunting? Oh my God, we've been running for
No, that's
hours.
that's in the morning. I have all season just started. It ends in February, so we're good here.
Oh, okay.
You drug.
Well, I've got about 15 minutes. I have 15
That's all right.
minutes.
We'll wrap it up in 15 minutes.
Okay.
Somebody had asked earlier about a 720 cabinet. Do we think that? And I think it was Quag, and sorry, Quag, it went by.
Pull up a picture of a 720 cab, because
Okay.
I really I've heard people ask about this a lot, and
Is that the one
mean,
with
if
the
you
actual
see-
surfboard on it, the cab, or you're doing it?
it's got like a stereo and
Yeah.
just pull it up, because that thing has got, and you know what John always says, plastic is expensive, and that's one of those cabs that just has
Yeah, I'm gonna
so
try to
much
find
plastic on it
good.
and so much design. Like it's an intricate design.
It's a $5,000 cabinet.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can pull this up here.
the actual cabinets, yeah, they're not easy to come by either. I don't know if you guys have heard of Broken Arcade, but
Oops.
he's got a really cool arcade collection. He actually has a 720 cab in his. But and if you look up there on top where the marquee,
It looks like an iircade.
Yeah, it's got but that actually looks like, if you're looking at it, it actually looks like a speaker box,
Yeah, it looks like an 80s boombox.
Right, exactly, boombox.
Couldn't they do this out of wood though?
What's that?
Couldn't they make this out of wood?
I think they could make it out of wood, but look at the bottom of it, So then what are they going to do? A riser with that design and the back coming out like that? They could streamline it more and make it a little bit more straight arrow, but you're still going to have that speaker panel at the top. And you know that if they're going to make a 720 cab, do you think that they're going to want to put it in a midway style cab? I highly, highly doubt it.
Some sacrifices would have to be made on this. Let me see if I can
But
get
that's
another
what I'm
better
saying.
picture.
I don't know if they could really pull it off that well. Here, wait. There's another one in there where you can actually see it a lot better.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get a nicer front-on picture here. Let me do this. Hang on, guys. Oh, jeez, Louise.
I Jayde it.
Man. All right, let's see here. There's got to be one I can zoom in on. Like some of these pictures that won't let me zoom in on it. All right, let's try this one. Oh, my goodness. That's how rare this cabinet is. All the pictures are 404s here. Looks like somebody made some art for it. Another 3D rendering.
Go down.
This one here, maybe? Come on, work. Let's see if we can click on this to enlarge it.
Yeah, well, there it is. There's a speaker panel.
I don't want the dang thing. I don't know what this is.
What is going on?
Who knows?
But anyways, you can, yeah, there.
Hey, there we go.
There. So look at that. And that, see how that whole thing is one piece at the top, and it's a separate one piece, and then there's actually, I don't know if that lights up in between it.
It looks like it lights up right where the cassette tape is in the 720.
Yeah, the 720 lights up, the cassette tape lights up, but that little strip below it. And then you have
Jayde. It actually looks like the radio part lights up at the top here too, you see it, on the left and on the right.
where the handle is.
Like, okay, so the handle's like right behind it, but like right in the front of it. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looks, because it has that yellow, the same yellow as the front.
Yeah. But anyways, I mean, like, then go down.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty. That's a pretty intricate design that you would have to piece together
But they did Dragon's Lair.
to get it to work. I mean, they did, but Dragon's Lair is like it's a very the form factor for the vertical aspect of it is pretty linear, you know. This is not.
I think they could make a U-shaped piece of wood at the bottom here, like they're showing here, and then you kind of add it on to it.
Do you see how it's got that anti-tilt?
That's what I'm talking about. The piece at the
bottom?
bottom, it's just they could make a U shape that you screw it in on from the sides. You do it from the inside of the cabinet, screw it to that, and then you make your side panels, your front panel. They would have to probably do this in angles. They probably couldn't do it rounded like the curvature here for the control panel. Make this a little wider with an extra large bezel, because we know we'd only get a 19-inch monitor, and have it overhang. I think
Oh, look at that
they could do
Donkey
it.
Kong cab.
Yeah, it looks like somebody else's I know.
Hey.
I think the hardest would
Um,
be mounting like the boombox thing at the top, unless just because of how awkward it could be size wise. But maybe the angling, have to be different. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't know.
It'd be interesting though.
I wonder what size that monitor is. Maybe 19.
Who would want one of these? Like if John D came out, or Arcade One Up and came on the chat room right now and said, if we made it, would you guys buy it? Who would buy that? Who would buy that cabinet? Besides Quag, because Quag's the one that asked it. So obviously he wants that cabinet.
Yeah, I see occasionally people asking about 720. But it's like, onesies and twosies, and people are like, yeah, that would be cool. But I mean, I just don't know. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm just saying I don't know if they'd be able to pull it off. I mean, if the price tag was closer to like 800 or 1,000, like, and maybe, I don't know.
So just
I don't
because
know.
I noticed you ignored the comment where somebody said this is a good Saturday morning show.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
No, I know you didn't see it, because that means you have to get up early if we're going to do this as a show on a Saturday. She was not having it. She she's like, oh, whatever time works for you. And I was like, how about noon? She's like, oh, I got to get up
I'm just
early.
barely waking up right now at this very moment.
Well, I would buy 720. Papa Brad says I would buy 720 if it was done right.
Yeah. What would be your price cap, Brad? That's the real question. Because if it was done right, what would be your price cap?
He says it's a great, unique arcade. Angelo P says it depends on what other games are with it.
I mean, but that form factor seems very limiting, So how many other games had a control layout like that, where the joystick is smack dab in the middle, and then you have buttons up diagonal on the side?
Worst Jargo says I don't think they could sell.
Worst Jago.
I'm sorry. I don't think they could sell 3,720s. I think he's right.
Yeah, I agree.
I love this time. Big E's Arcade says. Angelo P says this is a great Saturday morning show. Bill's Retro Gaming says this game is too niche for them. They won't even do
Papa
a Qbert
says
or Afterburner.
$500. Yeah, that's not happening. There's no way they'd be able to produce that for $500.
You don't think they could do that for $599? Because we didn't think that with Dragon's Lair. Do you remember when that first came out?
Dragon's Lair is $699.
But I'm saying, like, I think they could definitely get it. I think they could do it for $550, $600. I think they could. $599. I think they could definitely come in at that.
I think $699 to $799 would be
Do you really?
the most realistic. Yeah. I mean, Dragon's Lair is $699. Think about the specialty design they have to implement there, and technically, that whole stereo setup on top has to be like one plastic piece, or it's got to be, acrylic or something, because only a portion of it is going to light up.
Yeah, console fanboy. It was an okay show.
And they're going to need some of that faux chrome they advertised on.
No chrome. Anybody that owns a Legends Ultimate is jaded, again, no pun intended, from at games because we had all that chrome, and after a year, the glue just decided to not hold anymore, and it actually fell off the cabinet. And so it started buckling and everything on every curve, so I just ripped it all off and put like neon tape that I use for broadcasting on as trim because it
like
just
Disco Party 5000 up in there or what?
Well, because I have it as a Marble Madness cabinet, so it's like a neon orange. Anyways, it's the original. I got the original artwork because, as Rexer said earlier, I think he's gone now. I hated the artwork on the At Games Legends. You know, I don't just pick on the arcade. It was just terrible artwork. So I got a custom made Marble Madness, the original Atari cabinet graphic, and it also has my logo on the center between the speakers. So the neon orange actually goes with it. The trim looks really good.
Yeah. No, it does. I really like that
color scheme. You give me a hard time. I know. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this guy.
Well, I'm glad I left a mark on your day, Zohar. And I hope you have a prosperous afternoon.
Any final thoughts before we wrap it up here in about 4 minutes? We've been going for 2.5 hours, longer than I thought we were actually going to go. But I'm glad you guys liked it.
Hey, if you guys haven't checked out, if you like, Capcom Fighters and Big Blue and stuff like that, check out my Big Blue mod, which I actually just finished up. The only thing I really think that could make that any better is if I had a Bobby Vu control deck that had the same exact color scheme as what I have on there now, but just, the one that's actually shaped like the Big Blue control deck. But anyways, if you guys like that kind of stuff and fighting games, check out my Big Blue Multicade mod. That's been my latest project. So turned out pretty cool. And Angel did a fantastic job on the marquee. Yeah. Like, holy cow, that thing is probably just the coolest marquee in my collection.
He's a good dude. And also, guys, every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, Jade, myself, Wild Bill, and Glenn's Retro Show, we do game time. And I've been kind of sitting here, kind of making it so you guys couldn't see my shirt, but I've been kind of shilling all day long, and you guys didn't even know it. Oh!
Shill.
Just kidding.
You guys have been in Shillsville all morning.
No, I like the products, so I bought a shirt. Yeah, but so Thursdays 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll have more of these discussions. See if we can't get Glenn riled up even more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channels. Wild Bill, subscribe to. I think Glenn. Wild Bill needs to rename his channel called Wild Bill's Gaming. I think that's what he should call it. Wild Bill's Gaming.
Wild Bill's Retro Gaming.
That's too much of a mouthful. Wild Bill's Retro Gaming, because that limits him to retro, and he does stuff with Switch and other stuff. So I think it should be called Wild Bill's Gaming.
WWBD. What would Bill do?
And he could do WBG as his acronym. But yeah, guys, we really appreciate you coming on. And it wouldn't be the same if we didn't tune into a certain individual who we've kind of been keeping quiet. But what?
Hey, you've been good. You've been good.
He's been sitting here, actively trying to get a word in edgewise, but Glenn, I think Jade, I think you tied him up pretty good this week. He hasn't moved.
Yeah, well, you asked me to, Stephen.
Well, sometimes he just kind of goes a little bit too deep, and we have to kind of keep him under wraps. Just got to keep him under wraps. But guys, we really appreciate it. We'll see. Maybe we'll be back another week or so. Subscribe, and we'll let you guys know a week in advance. We'll try. Depends if she can get here on time. We'll see.
Hey.
We'll see you guys later. Have a good weekend and enjoy
Bye.
your game machines, please.
Yeah.